been the target of what they call the Groypers. I just call them Nazis because that's what they are. There were things going out over our air that she was saying that were being at least received, I have to say, as being deeply anti-Semitic without ever having any kind of personal animus toward Candace, or even knowing what it was she intended. I'm not even saying that was, how she intended it to be received. It simply became impossible to have a good feeling about this place that I helped build and that I love very much and that I'm very proud of, was involved the fact that some of this was being phrased in religious terms. And one of the ways this was happening was the phrase, Christ is King, Christ is King, Christ is King.
What's going on, everybody? So Andrew Klavan is talking about the Candace Owens firing still on this podcast called Trigonometry. And I just wanted to respond to it in a non-hateful, just very honest manner, because I think how Andrew thinks is how a lot of people in conservative media think, and I have good insight on it. Also, I think I'm going to make some good points. That's why I'm even responding and reacting. I found it the most interesting thing in my feed, so I'm excited for today's live stream. I hope people listen and consider what I'm saying because it's pretty interesting stuff. Appreciate you for being here. Give me a thumbs up in the comments if it sounds good. Give me a thumbs up on the video for the algorithm. And the Dream Rare podcast for Wednesday, May 22nd starts now.
It's the Dream Rare podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, guys? So Summer, Wyatt, Giovanna, Brett, Zaire, Marla, Catherine. I don't know why I had so much trouble with Catherine, but it looked like it could be something else. Carlos, Gorilla MacGyver. That's a crazy name. I don't know. I might, if that's your real name and you were applying for a job, you're like, my name's Gorilla MacGyver. Either you'd instantly get the job, or I'd be like, I'd profile and be like, I don't know about that. But jokes aside, hopefully I didn't just cancel myself. It's gonna get worse. All right, let's start it up. So here's a clip that I saw going viral on Twitter, and I just found so many parts of it interesting that I wanted to talk about it because there's so much in here that the Daily Wire's been doing or Andrew Klavan's been saying, and it's been a trend I've noticed in conservative and Republican media. And as I've said before in my live streams, this has been, in my view, behind the scenes, not just at Daily Wire, but at a lot of these conservative organizations for a long time. And the Candace Owens firing did something amazing, is it brought it all out in the open so people could at least have an opinion about it. So since Andrew Klavan is publicly speaking on Trigonometry, which is a podcast or another show, all credit to them. I just wanted to respond to his public podcast. This is nothing below the belt or crazy. I've been on Andrew's show 5, 6, 7 years ago. This is what podcasters do. They talk and share opinions. So I just want to kind of recant what he's saying and just point out some things that I found so obviously odd. So I chopped it into 6 clips, and here's the first one. So he's talking about how he didn't feel comfortable working with Candace Owens. And one of the reasons that he cited, besides the Christ is King being anti-Semitic sort of dog whistle, was the fact that somebody that Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, and Andrew Klavan hate, named Nick Fuentes, they were upset that he liked what Candace was doing. And Klavan even admits here, like, I don't even know if she meant that, but that's what I think. And this type of stuff annoys me so much, and I'm going to get into it. So here's Andrew Klavan, clip 1.
And ever since, I've been the target of what they call the Groypers. I just call them Nazis because that's what they are. There were things going out over our air that she was saying that were being at least received, I have to say, as being deeply anti-Semitic, so that Nick Fuentes, who is a virtual Nazi, I mean, there's no space between him and what a Nazi would be saying, was praising her to the skies. She was saying that we're being at least received, I have to say, as being deeply anti-Semitic. At least received, I have to say, as being deeply anti-Semitic. So
I repeated that part 3 times purposely because this is like what the left does all the time. They're like saying it's a dog whistle and like maybe you didn't mean to do it, but that's how it was perceived. And he was like, I'm not saying what she said was anti-Semitic, but it was being perceived as anti-Semitic. And I think that because this person who I'm saying is this said this to this. So if that person responded to that this way and that person's bad and I'm good, then that just must mean it's hateful. But it's like a dog whistle because like I'm not saying it's really like that, but like it was perceived like that by this guy that I don't like. It's like, shut the F up. I don't want to say the F word. I'm trying to be a more holy person today, but it is funny sometimes for comedic reasons to curse. Oh well, humor's out the window. Why are you laughing, Anomaly? Sometimes people comment that, but it bothers me more than anything. Listen, Andrew Klavan is going to say some things that make really bad people happy and make really good people happy and really bad people upset and really good people upset. This game of like, I'm not saying what you said is wrong, but there's someone that didn't Andrew Klavan once tweet that he wanted to blow Iran off the map? There's like tens of millions of innocent, I think like 60, 70, 80 million people live there. I'm sure some of the most evil people in the world thought that was awesome because evil people would want to kill 70 million people. That's a crazy thing to do, regardless what population or who it is. But he said that, I'm like, that's crazy. But that's not crazy because somebody that I don't like liked it, or somebody that I hated it, or like, it's just crazy because that was crazy. It's a pet peeve of mine. Klavan is not the only one who does this, but he's just trying to say that, yeah, I'm not saying that it was that, but because that person responded that way, it's like, dude, shut up. I can't stand people like him. Let's watch another clip.
If Nick Fuentes praises me to the skies, I go out and say, no, I'm not on your side. I don't know. I don't know what you mistook, but there was nothing coming back. And so it was becoming uncomfortable to be on the same, station, the same venue where that stuff was coming out. And so
he's kind of admitting that it was guilt by association that really bothered him and made him not want to work with Candace. He's like, the fact that somebody I hated liked what she was saying and she wasn't distancing herself, that made me uncomfortable to really do my job. I want to tell you guys 2 times that this happened to me. First, it happened in left-wing media, and then it happened in right-wing media, because they always pretend like they're totally different and they're fighting. But this is why I say both sides are fake. It's because they do the same exact things, and then they just make you fight with each other. It's pointless. This happened to me first. I want to say it was like 2017 or 2018 or 2019. I was pretty new to politics, and it was a joke I made about Irish people because I had read that Irish people were indentured servants at one time. And, some would consider that Irish people were enslaved. Other would say it's not true slavery, it's indentured servitude. Whatever it was, I made an Irish St. Paddy's Day joke, and I said, happy St. Paddy's Day to all of my Irish friends who, were indentured servants or enslaved at one point, and now everybody's blaming you for, privilege, even though you at one time were enslaved, or something like that. Like, obviously, it's a joke that's a little harsh, I guess, but Irish people loved it. Like, it was going viral on the internet because I worded it in a way funnier manner than I just told you. And it made a lot of sense. I was like, happy St. Paddy's Day to these Irish people who were historically treated horribly, but now, the whole world's blaming all of the world's problems on you because you're light-skinned or white. Something like that. I don't remember what I said, right? But it was like early on in my political career or whatever. And it showed up in the media with like my face or my tweet, and it said like white nationalist, this, that. And I was like, I didn't even know what a white nationalist was. To be honest, I didn't even know what a nationalist was. But I was like, what? Why are they saying that? And the left-wing media said that because I had a tweet go viral that got millions of views. People copied it, cropped it, put it on their Facebook page, put it on their Twitter page. And I guess some sitting congressman who was Republican retweeted an account that they had dubbed a white nationalist. And that Twitter had like cropped and shared my tweet, but not through my Twitter by screenshotting it and posting it themselves. And I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like, I'm getting blamed for something because I had a viral funny joke that like a lot of people like on the right, and probably just Irish people in general like. So that happened to me on the left, and it was like a huge pet peeve of mine. I mean, it's just stupid. It's like, it would be like saying someone listened to a Drake song, so that means that Drake's responsible. It's like, if you get millions or billions of views, there's going to be a lot of people who like, dislike, share, comment. It just is what it is. I don't personally believe in guilt by association in the sense of like blaming someone for someone sharing or liking something is ridiculous. Are you going to cancel an ice cream company because someone on the right likes the ice cream cone the same way a left-winger does? It's ridiculous, but I saw the left wing do that to me, and I thought it was so dark and weird and creepy and just like so dishonest. And then it's like Andrew Klavan's like the same exact guy. I mean, he's pretty much hinting and suggesting that, I'm not going to put words into his mouth, but based on those two videos, it seems like he had a huge issue with Candace Owens being his coworker, because he's like, listen, I've been at Daily Wire for a while, and I just don't feel comfortable with Candace saying things that are perceived as anti-Semitic and that people that I don't like. And I can't have people that I don't like liking things on my network that I'm not saying that someone else is saying. And it's just so gross, and it's so fake, and it's so liberal, and it's so safe space, and it's so, you're triggered. Like, it's all those things that right wingers make fun of the left for. That's what Andrew Klavan is essentially doing. And this is why I can't stand a lot of these people, is because they're total fakes. Like, everything that they've ever told you, like everything, it's like drinking liberal tears, no safe spaces, I should be able to speak on college campus. It's like, how much of this stuff do they even believe? Because if you believe in the First Amendment, as Noam Chomsky used to say, you can't believe in the First Amendment only for people who agree with you. You have to do it for people who disagree with you, or else you don't really believe in it. And with Jeremy, I have a video already where if the Daily Wire is a platform that prioritizes a foreign country over America, or it's a company that says, guilt by association is real. So, Ben Shapiro and Klavan, of course, they're not responsible for anybody that retweets them and agrees with them. That's bad. But Candace, if someone that they don't like likes her, then it's her fault. Like, just be honest about it. But there's a tweet that Andrew put out, that Jeremy Boring put out a year ago, where he was saying, like, listen, we're going to let Candace stay because it's not about my opinion and Ben's opinion. It's about her opinion. We hired her to give her opinions. And then after she left, he was like, I pay people. And then he admitted, like, no, yeah, we're not going to pay people that disagree with us to some extent, where it's like, it's just be honest about it. That's all I'm asking. Like, you don't have to do that, but that's not what you said 4 or 5 months ago. So I'm just going to say, as somebody that this has happened to multiple times on the left and the right, I've known this, and I don't want to be repetitive, so I'll talk about it later, but I've known who most of Republican media was for a long time. And it's one of these games where, like, you have to be a puppet or fake in order to work there. The second you have your own foreign policy, or you tell the truth, or other people like you that don't like them, they are just as petty, safe space, and fake as the left wing is, like, just as fake. And I think that this video kind of highlighted that to me, so that's why I'm playing it. All right, I got a few more clips.
Without ever having any kind of personal animus toward Candace, or even knowing what it was she intended. I'm not even saying that was, how she intended it to be received. It simply became impossible.
All right, I'm going to play that clip again, but he's like, it's another one of those things. He's like, I'm not saying I have a problem with her, and I don't know how she wanted it to be perceived, but how it was perceived bothered me. When Andrew Klavan says something, when Ben Shapiro says something, when Jeremy Boring says something, when Jordan Peterson says something, when Matt Walsh says something, it's what they say that I talk about. It's not how it was perceived. Matt Walsh is perceived by the left as a sexist, a racist, a homophobe, a transphobe. That's what the left perceives what Matt Walsh says. That doesn't affect what I think or what I say. I'm not going to accuse him of, well, technically you didn't bother me, but someone that I don't like got bothered by you. So now that's what I think of you, but I'm not saying I have a problem with you. It's like, this is just such grimy, slimy, weaselly, deceitful behavior. It's just so annoying. It's like, I judge Matt by not only who he is, but what he says, right? I judge Ben by what he says, not by what someone else thinks that he said. I'm going by what he actually said, because I'm not a psychopath and I'm not an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like judging me. It's like, anomaly. Technically, you didn't really like say anything wrong, but like, someone out there perceived it as wrong. This is what the fact checkers did to me. They took down one of my videos about monkeypox that was 100% accurate and just going based off of reports. I didn't even make any grandiose claims. But when I asked the fact checker, they ended up being in France. So now I'm emailing some company in France that's taking away my ability to speak in America. What? And they're like, well, technically you didn't say that, but Huey Media in the comment section said this, and you must have led him to say this. Listen, I know Huey, not personally, but like, he does good work on Instagram. he thinks for himself. He likes my videos, but I can't control what he says, and I don't want to control what he says. I don't go in the comments and say, hey, everybody has to say what I say. That's not what the comment section is on Facebook. I ask a question and people discuss. It's not my opinion that other people say, it's their opinion. It's like these people, this is what the fact checkers did to me. They took down a video because of comments in my comment section because people said things that were too far. I didn't make them say that, nor am I trying to control other content creators' opinions if it goes further than my opinion. That's what the comment section is. So he's doing that same thing. I want to play the clip again. Listen to what he says. It's just so annoying. And this is why, this is what Republican media is to me. I don't think this is like 5% of Republican media. I don't think it's just Daily Wire employees. I think it's like 95% of Republican media. I think they think exactly like this. And in some cases, I know that they think exactly like this because other media companies have done this to me before for the same exact reason that they did it to Candace. It's like, if someone else likes your tweet, we're going to ruin your life, even if you don't even know that it happened. Like today, I'm not bragging, but I'm just being honest. I have 4 different videos that I posted on Twitter that have over 1 million impressions today. That's 4. I probably got like 7 to 10 million impressions today on my Twitter. Do you think I've even seen who's responding? I have thousands of reposts. I don't even know who's I have no idea who's retweeting or sharing or commenting because I can't keep up with millions of impressions and like tens or hundreds of thousands of comments a day. Like I would go crazy if I tried to read every single response. I don't even think it's humanly possible at a certain point if you have a really poppin' like Twitter feed. So it's like, these are the games that not just left-wing media plays, but right-wing media plays too. And it's so cringe. Here's the clip again, and then we got a few more.
Without ever having any kind of personal animus toward Candace, or even knowing what it was she intended. I'm not even saying that was, how she intended it to be received. It simply became impossible to have a good feeling about this place that I helped build and that I love very much and that I'm very proud of,
So without knowing what she intended, it just made Andrew Klavan so uncomfortable to work at Daily Wire because someone Andrew Klavan doesn't liked what Candace said. It just made him uncomfortable to work there because, I don't know what she intended, but like the outcome was someone that I don't likes what you're saying. And now I'm just so uncomfortable. And I want to say this too. He's like, something that I helped build. Listen, was he there early on? Absolutely. Has he ever been top talent at Daily Wire? No. Is he the most irrelevant and, boring person there now? Absolutely. Did Brett Cooper run circles around him? Yes. Did Matt Walsh run circles around him? Yes. Did Michael Knowles, even though he's not even doing that much, does he run circles around Andrew Klavan? Yes. Does Jordan Peter, like everyone at Daily Wire runs circles around Andrew Klavan? He's been there the longest, but he's like that grandfathered in employee that like doesn't really do anything and he doesn't really bring that much value, but he's like soup, he's just been there for a long time. He's like Grandpa Klavan over there. So it's like, did you help build it? I mean, maybe, but like, are you, like Matt Walsh didn't have that big of a career before he got there. He got the opportunity, the cameras, the documentaries, the platform, and he probably ran 1,000 circles around Andrew Klavan. It's like, you've been there the longest, yet you're the most irrelevant person there, yet you've had all those resources for like a decade. I mean, that just says how boring and not that interesting or intelligent or worth listening to Andrew Klavan is. So I just thought that was kind of crazy. He's like, I helped build it. Yeah, and I helped build, the greatest railroad in the world. It's like, actually, I didn't. I did. I built skyscrapers about as much as he built up the Daily Wire. But anyway, I'm being a little petty, but it's just true. It's like, does anybody think he's like a key member? I don't think anything would happen if Andrew Klavan like just took 5 months off. Like, I don't know that they'd be suffering that much. But anyway, let's look at another clip.
I'm very proud of, as an entity. And it was very painful to have that kind of stuff coming out over the air. And I did not want Nick Fuentes. I don't want Nick Fuentes' praise. I don't even want, I don't want him to have a happy day because of anything that I said. And so that was my basic reaction. And in that,
so once again, he's blaming Candace Owens for Nick Fuentes and him liking what Candace said. And he's going so far as to say, like, I don't even want him to have a happy day. I got to listen back exactly what he said because I had something to say about it. But let me hear.
I'm very proud of, as an entity. And it was very painful to have that kind of stuff coming out over the air. And I did not want Nick Fuentes. I don't want Nick Fuentes' praise. I don't even want, I don't want him to have a happy day because of anything that I said. And so that was my basic reaction. And in that,
Okay, so he said he doesn't want Nick Fuentes to have a happy day based on anything he said. Here's the sad reality of what I have to tell Andrew Klavan. One, nobody really cares what you say. Like, you're not that relevant or interesting. Like, the only time you go viral is when everybody's like laughing at you or pointing out how sneaky you are. But in general, it's like, since Nick is right leaning and you're right leaning, I don't know what label Andrew Klavan wants to give himself. I don't know what label Nick Fuentes wants to give himself. I'm sure that Nick would give Klavan an unfavorable label. I know that Klavan gives Nick an unfavorable label. But in general, it's like there's going to be things that Klavan says that Nick agrees with. Because if you're on the right, it doesn't mean that you agree on a lot. There's a lot of different right wingers. You could say far right, kind of far right, conservative right, Christian right, whatever, like libertarian right. But it's not like you're going to disagree on everything. So if Andrew thinks that he's never going to say anything that Nick or people that he doesn't likes, he's out of his mind. And at the end of the day, like, you got to say what you believe. Like, Klavan has to speak what he thinks. But since he says he's a Christian, conservative, and whatever, I'm not questioning his Christianity. I'm just saying, like, does he really think that there's never anything that he's ever going to say that people that like, I don't, to be quite honest, I don't like Klavan. I don't like hate him or anything, but I just find him boring, lame, unimpressive. He's had this huge, powerful machine behind him for 10 years, and he's less relevant than like so many people. Like, he's got all these advantages on people, yet he can't even use them because that's how boring and useless he is. But in general, it's like, do I hate him as a person? No, he's whatever. It's, he's just a guy. With that being said, it's like, I'm sure I could watch an hour video of his and agree with 20 things he said, even if I find him annoying and fake or whatever. Or, it's like, he's going to say conservative things. Like, I'm sure he has similar economic, platforms to like certain conservatives. Like, I don't, no, that's how he lives his life, is like, I don't even want this guy to have a happy day or agree with anything I said. He's going to agree with some things you said. Just like there's probably leftists that agree with some of my tweets and right wingers that agree with some of my tweets and Christians who agree with my tweets. There's probably Jews that agree with my tweets and Muslims that agree with my tweets. Like, that's just what it is. This is what I'm going to say. I'm not going to just sit around and condemn everyone all the time. Like, I'm saying what I'm saying. If you want to perceive it what it's not, that's on you. If you want to lie about me, that's on you. If you want to make up stories in your head, that's on you. If you want to hear dog whistles that aren't there, that's on you. There's people that have called me like, I'm working for the Muslims or whatever. I'm Muslim. I'm not Muslim. It's just like Muslims and Christians, they don't share everything, obviously, but they do. Like, Muslim countries and Muslim people are attempting to conserve tradition in some way, in some ways more than Christians. Like, they pray 5 times a day. So if you say like, God bless you, pray up, there's going to be Muslims that are like, for sure. So it's like, am I going to just sit on Twitter all day and be like, I condemn that, I condemn that, I condemn, I'm not that, I'm Andrew Klavan. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh no, somebody agreed with me that I don't like. It's like, dude, you're so lame. Like, just say what you say and see who likes it and see who doesn't like it. Like, what you're going to condemn every person that ever, you know what I'm saying? That ever disagrees. Like, who has the energy or time to do that? Like, I'm not responsible for other people. I don't even like to be in group chats. Somebody that I'm friends with, I'm doing a rap song, he added me to a group chat and I left. I was like, dude, don't add me to any group chats. He's like, well, this is the brothers, this is the boys, we're building each other. I don't do group chats, bro. I don't got time for that. I'm not trying to read and talk and text. Like, I'm trying to work. I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to go to the gym. It's no disrespect to you. Let's do a group chat in real life. Let's get the boys together and play basketball. That's a group chat in real life. I don't have, like, it's no disrespect, but it's like, not only am I not responsible for what everyone else is doing, I don't even really like, I don't have time for that, So it's like, if I have 5 friends and they go do 20 different things in the day, like, is that my life? That's my job. That's my, like, I'm so tired of this mindset that's being like, everyone has to be other people. It's just so cringe. But anyway, Let's look at the last two clips.
Was involved the fact that some of this was being phrased in religious terms. And one of the ways this was happening was the phrase "Christ is King" was now.
Someone said autists can't do group chats. I mean, I don't think, maybe I'm autistic. I don't know. I act a little autistic sometimes. I don't know. I've never been like diagnosed with autistic. I think I'm just smart and unique, but it's like, they're like, oh, you're autistic, give you Adderall so you could focus. It's like, yeah, you give anyone drugs, they'll do something. I could take Adderall, go to the gym for 2 hours and just get jacked. Like, I don't do that. I'm just saying, like, maybe, but here, I'll play the clip again, but I just want to let you guys know, in my life, I gotta post on Facebook, and I don't have like assistants doing it. It's all me. So it's like I'm posting on Facebook, I'm posting on Twitter, I'm posting on Instagram, I'm editing the video, I'm posting, I'm doing my live stream, I do the research for it, I chop up the clips, I upload it, I do the promotion, I tell people I'm going live. I don't like, what do I need a group chat for? You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's because I'm autistic, although I don't take offense to that. It's just like, in my life, I want to simplify everything because I'm constantly doing everything for work. So why in my spare time am I trying to scroll through? Like, I don't care what people are saying. I want to talk to my friends. I want to meet somebody in person. I want to go to the beach. I want to go on vacation. I don't want to text. I have to text for a living all the time. Maybe if you don't do that for a living, it's fun. It's no disrespect to anybody. It's just not fun for me. Like, what's fun is not texting and not being on my phone when I'm not working. But anyway, here's that clip again. I totally ignored it.
Was involved the fact that some of this was being phrased in religious terms. And one of the ways this was happening was the phrase "Christ is King" was now.
So he's talking about Christ is King again. And this is like, everything he says annoys me because he's just a phony. But this is perhaps the most annoying, because even me, like, I'm thoughtful about things, but I'm probably way less afraid than most people of doing stuff. Like, at this point, I think people like and I'm not saying I'm so above average, but the average person that doesn't really speak out, they see me as like incredibly brave. Like, oh, Anomaly will say what he thinks. Sure. Even I'm not going to say I'm not going to say it, because that would be blasphemous to my own religion. But even I'm thinking, like, when I want to say Christ is King and respond to something, I'm not going to not do it, obviously. But it's like they've gotten in my head to the sense where it's like they're trying to convince you that declaring that your Lord is your king is an anti-Semitic dog whistle. And this, it ticks me off, because it's like millions of people now that probably were saying it and would have said it. You got people like Andrew Klavan trying to trick you into being afraid of declaring your Lord and Savior to anyone at any time for any reason, because they'll say, well, technically, obviously, that's not anti-Semitic, but the way you said it, because you said it, and Nick Fuentes said it, and Candace Owens said it, so now it's kind of like an anti-Semitic dog whistle. It's like, it's demonic, in my opinion, to try to trick Christians into thinking that it's bad to say that. And they've done that to other religions, in my opinion, also. I'm not saying when a Muslim does something bad and says Allah Akbar, I'm not saying to ignore it, report it, put it in the news, make sure everybody knows, because that, is part of what happened. Don't cover it up just to cover the religion. But at the same time, if you hear a Muslim say Allah Akbar, you can't just be like, oh, he must be committing a terrorist attack, because 99.9999% of the time that people are saying that, it means God is great. So, it's like you see that. I've noticed a pattern where in the mainstream press, they've kind of done that to Islam. Although I'm not saying that like people who said it after they did something bad. Like, I'm not asking people to cover it up, and I'm not asking people to like, say it never happened. But it's like, it's just fascinating that they're trying to basically make the words Christ is King now. Like, it's like, oh yeah, it's easy for a Christian to be like, oh yeah, Allah Akbar. They're saying it and they're blowing stuff up and it's so bad. And it's like, yeah, people do that. It's not like it doesn't happen, but 99.999% of Muslims that are saying it are saying God is great, like all the time. They say it all the time. So now it's like it reminds me of the foreign wars, where they start doing stuff overseas. They start doing pharmaceutical experiments in Africa, and it's like no one cares. And then America gets locked down and we turn into a pharmaceutical experiment. And now everybody cares because it's happening to us. It's easy to be like, oh, it's just Africans. It's just Africa. And I'm not saying most people are hateful. I just think when it's overseas, you just don't know about it. You just assume that the media and the government's telling you the truth, or you're fighting Afghanistan and Iraq to do all this and that. And then when the same people that say they're doing that are starting to use the bills they passed against you, and they hate people who love the country, and they hate Christians, and they're targeting Catholics. It's like now it's everybody's being like, wait, what? So to me, I feel like what they've already done to other religions, they're starting to do to Christians, where it's like, Christ is king is like anti-Semitic because, like they're bad people have said it in bad ways. But I'm not saying you are, but I'm just saying it's not really appropriate to say now. It's like they're getting in your head to try to make you afraid to say that your Lord and Savior is your Lord and Savior. Who would want to do that? God would not want to do that. I don't believe. I don't think he asked people to be meek, or rather to be afraid and to be shy to declare the Lord's name. And also, I'm a thoughtful person and I'm a chill guy for the most part, but people are supposed to spread the word, and they are supposed to spread the word to non-believers. Like that's it's not like blasphemous to do that. In fact, I believe it's called upon. I'm not an expert on every aspect of the Bible, but I don't think that God commanded people to be shy and like keep it to themselves and not try to spread it to their brothers and sisters that they want to find Christ. Yeah, some people could be more annoying than others, but there's a lot of things that are annoying in this world. I don't get annoyed by street preachers. I mean, some of them are a little cringe, but I find it interesting. Anyway, let's play this clip and then listen to the last one.
Was involved the fact that some of this was being phrased in religious terms. And one of the ways this was happening was the phrase Christ is king was now.
One of the ways it was just a Christ is king, and Candace said stuff that someone I don't liked. We get it. Let's listen to the second part.
As I said repeatedly on the show, as Jeremy Boring, who runs the Daily Wire, said repeatedly, we believe this. We believe that Christ is king. I also believe in the cross of Christ, but if you burn the cross on somebody's lawn, it's no longer the cross of Christ. It's just a vehicle, a symbol of your toxic hatred. And so the way it was being used online as an attack on Jews.
So he tried to equate Christ is king, saying Christ is king online, as an attack on Jews. And he said that saying Christ is king online is similar to like burning a cross on somebody's lawn. So now if you declare Christ is king, or you say Christ is king to Ben Shapiro, it's equivalent to burning a cross on someone's lawn. I just want to hear that again because it's almost unbelievable.
As I said repeatedly on the show, as Jeremy Boring, who runs the Daily Wire, said repeatedly, we believe this. We believe that Christ is king. I also believe in the cross of Christ, but if you burn the cross on somebody's lawn, it's no longer the cross of Christ. It's just a vehicle, a symbol of your toxic hatred. And so the way it was being used online as an attack on Jews,
What's interesting? Andrew Klavan, although he's a Christian religiously, due to his ethnicity, he has special speech protections in America and special speech laws that are being passed through legislation in Florida, in Georgia, in universities, etc., that protect him. So even though he's a Christian, these laws are not just religious, they're ethnic laws. And, a few of them call it anti-Semitism to say that people like Andrew are exaggerating. So it's like he can exaggerate and say, you didn't say that, but you kind of said this, and it's kind of anti-Semitic to declare your Lord and Savior if you say it to Ben Shapiro. And then he gets special laws in America that basically call it hate speech and anti-Semitism if you even say that he's over speaking. And then he'll be like, no, technically not that, this, that. It's like, okay, bro, we get it. I've said this before, but I think it's a profound statement, and I think that it's something that people should consider. I don't care how pro-Israel you are, or if you like Palestine, or if you like Egypt, or if you like Japan. I don't care if you're ethnically European or Jewish or African or Asian. I don't care who you are. What I'm saying is just true. What's it called when someone says something that's perceived as hateful towards Jewish people or Israel? The word is anti-Semitism. Even Jews are constantly accused of anti-Semitism. Any Jew that does not just bow down and worship Israel as, have loyalty to them to some extent, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not more, of American Jews that are being called anti-Semitic. Because believe it or not, I'm not going to say it's in like the 50 percentile, but there are a lot of left-wing Jews or even other Jews. There's even Hasidic and Orthodox Jews that are against Zionism, which is fascinating. But anyway, it's like it's not the majority, but there are a lot of Jewish people that are critical of what Israel's doing, and they're called anti-Semites. So anti-Semitism can mean you don't like Israel as much as we want you to, or you don't believe everything that they ever say, or you are even suggesting that they should stop doing what they're doing. That's anti-Semitism. Also, it's hate towards the ethnicity or the religion, or perceived as. It doesn't even need to be real hate. You could tell the truth. You could be loving. You could just be honest, but it's still considered anti-Semitism. If it is so, defined by the IHRA working definition. Here's what I find fascinating. What's the word if someone of the Jewish ethnicity or religion is being hateful or is being perceived as hateful towards a Christian or a European or a black person or whatever? I mean, I guess towards a black person would be racist, but there is no word for that against Christian or that against European or that against any other race that doesn't have a victim card. Do you know why? Because the word that's used, if they're being perceived as hateful towards you or your religion or your race, the word is also anti-Semitism, because it's anti-Semitism to even notice that it's happening. So it's like, it's a lopsided, it's like either way, it's always anti-Semitism, because if it's happening to them, it's hate. If you notice that it's happening to you, you're just being hateful. There's never any fair playing field or accountability or consideration of any sort of the sort. And because of that lopsided standard and that double standard, people become suspicious. People become annoyed. People notice that it's just not fair. And then the more you notice, or the more that you say something about it, the more, certain groups and certain organizations lean into calling you anti-Semitic. So it's like, and then it's like, we need more speech laws. We need more that. The hate's rising, this and that. And it's like, there's never like a moment for like, well, is there ever a time that you could be hateful towards my race or my religion? Is there a word for that? Oh, the word's also anti-Semitism, because you simply note, even asking the question is considered hateful to me. So it's like, obviously that's not going to be popular, but the more unpopular it gets, the more they push for speech laws in this country and reparations and, certain funding to certain schools. I mean, you could look up the amount of money Ron DeSantis gave to Jewish schools for certain things. The numbers are higher than most people would imagine. You could look up the numbers that Kathy Hochul gave for World War II reparations. I believe it's in the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. And I don't blame people, but I would say most people in Republican media are even afraid to notice or talk about it, because, a lot of people like Matt Walsh, they will talk about Black reparations and how astronomically ridiculous it is. Like, how dare you think that everybody's got to pay for your troubles in history? But, I haven't heard Matt Walsh talk about the other reparations that were passed recently. It was hundreds of millions of dollars. And I have no idea who it went to or what families or what specific individuals, et cetera. But, you're not going to hear a lot of Republicans talk about that, because, you don't want to get called that word, because getting called that word or getting accused of that word, you end up like Candace Owens. It's just the truth. It's like everybody knows it. Either they're in on it completely and they're just, dunking on other people for bias reasons or financial reasons, or they're just scared out of their mind to really say anything about it, because it's like when Novak Djokovic didn't get the vaccine or Kyrie Irving didn't get the vaccine. Do you think 99% of players, agreed with the NBA and the tennis league? No, but 99% of players were afraid to say anything. It probably is 50-50, but they don't want to say anything. That's what's going on in Republican media. It's like everybody knows this. They don't want to say anything, because look what they do to you. Like, if you're not a total puppet for these media corporations, if you're not a total puppet for a foreign agenda, if you're not a total pawn and a total useful idiot, if you have your own mind and your own soul, they do what Andrew's talking about. They say, well, technically, I'm not saying you said that, but this person said that, so that means that they liked it. And that means that I feel uncomfortable at my job. And if he feels uncomfortable at his job, I mean, he's been there for a long time. And, Jeremy agrees with him, I'm sure, on those topics. And Ben Shapiro agrees with him. So it's like, you can't really work there unless you bow down to that narrative. Because if you don't, they use the same tactics as the left. They're not going to come full out and say like, oh yeah, you're being super, super hateful. They're going to be like, well, because at the end of the day, it's like, one man's hate speech is another man's truth. When Matt Walsh tells the truth to the left, they call it hate speech. They say it's racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, or whatever. And the right goes, yeah, that's not hateful. That's the truth. And then when Candace does the same thing on that topic, a lot of them, they can't really describe why it's wrong. They're just like, that sounds hateful to me. And it's like, well, to other people, it sounds like good reporting and good journalism. So you don't have to agree that it's good, but if you're just saying that the only reason that you're really uncomfortable with it is because someone else liked it, then what is that really saying about you? And this already happened to me, and I'm not a victim because I don't care. I'm not a power hungry person. I'm not a money hungry person. I don't want to be broke like everybody in this country. And it's better to get money now because inflation is just destroying the country. And, I have a lot to say about that too. Maybe I'll end the live stream with that. But it's like, I already knew this 5 years ago, and I chose the path of doing it on myself. And I was wildly successful during the COVID era and even now doing my own thing. But I knew it's like, if I want to get into those circles and have the machine behind me that's pumping these people and making them bigger than they need to be, you have to essentially bow down on that topic. And you have to either completely play ball with Ben Shapiro's policy, like Jordan Peterson does. He's like an empty vessel that just sounds mysteriously exactly like Ben Shapiro, or you have to just act stupid and act like you don't see it. It's the only really two options, or else you're not allowed in there. So I've already seen this happening for a while, and I just wanted to talk about it today. With that being said, a little unrelated, but I'll end this live stream talking about the economy because this is a little unrelated, but I think everyone can relate. The economy is rough. And I think that most people think that when it happens, that it's just going to be so obvious and so bad. But what it really is a degradation of America. And I don't want to complain because I want to start on this note. I'm extremely grateful. It could be worse. I'm very, pretty well off in the sense of like, it definitely could be worse. I could be living in a different country that doesn't have the opportunities, or, I could be where I was 7 years ago when I was in my 20s or whatever, when I did was just like, didn't even know what I was doing. So I'm very grateful and I'm not complaining. But what I've noticed is, besides the price of everything going up, it's like every major corporation and you could say, oh, who cares about the major corporations? I mean, at this point, they control everything between the politicians and the corporations. Like, it's hard to just get away from all of them because they control so much real estate in America. They don't care about us. All the customer service sucks. Everyone's just going through the motions. Everyone's downsizing. Anything cool that we had 4 years ago, they're taking away because they're trying to cut costs. And there's a multitude of reasons for it, but a lot of it is how bad the economy is. When the economy's bad, everybody cuts corners. And you could say that they shouldn't be doing that. And you might be right. Like, maybe the CEO should take a pay cut instead of cutting all these things, but they're not doing it. So the point that I'm saying is it's hard to sympathize with a CEO who makes billions of dollars. And that's not even what I'm really doing here. But it's like, say that your job is to do this, 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 and this. This costs more, this costs more, this costs more, this costs more, and this costs more. So now that they're getting charged for the 5 to 10 things that they need to make a business, now they're charging you more. Now they're laying off staff. Now people are unhappy that are working there because they're not getting paid that much and they're not getting treated that well. And you're just seeing the entire society, degrade. It's just degrading. And in the shittier places, it's getting shittier. In the middle class places, it's starting to, have less opportunity than it had 20 years ago. And the nice places starting to get shitty also, because people that are targeting, they know where the money's at. So it's like the whole country's kind of suffering. And one thing that really bothers me is the fact that very few people are even being honest about why it's even happening. If you want to be super honest and super libertarian, you could take it back to the Federal Reserve, and getting away from gold-backed money and, slowly over time inflating the currency and getting into debt. I think all of that plays a role, and I'm not denying that it does play a role. In my lifetime, I don't know if this was a cover for something that was already going to happen, or if it's just the reason that it's happening so bad, maybe a combination of both. But the COVID era, if you look at charts of money printing, there's never been anything like it. They've always printed too much money, but since COVID happened, they used a virus to justify not only pharmaceutical socialism, but just almost straight up communism, where they just made the money printer go brrr, And then that was a terrible one. And then they just printed trillions, trillions, trillions. And I remember in May of 2020 having a conversation with someone in my family, and I was freaking out. I probably should have been calmer, but I was freaking out. And I was like, yo, everybody's got to go back to work. Everybody's got to get this stuff back going. Like, we're screwed. And like, the person was telling me like, yo, it's whatever. We'll go back when they say, or like, it's not a big deal. Like just a couple months or whatever. And it's like, that's not how the economy works. Like, I'm like, even if they opened in May completely, I'm like, we're going to be paying for this for a decade. Like printing money, shutting down commerce. It's so bad. And I felt like it was bothering me to my core in May, because I knew how bad it was. I knew how bad the economy was going to get. I knew I would be paying for it. I knew everyone would be paying for it. And I was like, why does no one see this? But no one saw it. And it's like, did Biden make it worse? Of course. It was like, that was the key moment that they now justify just spending, spending, spending. And Trump started it. McConnell and Pelosi started it, and Biden finished it. But for political reasons, people will say it's just Joe Biden. It's not true. Even if Trump got in, inflation would probably be just as bad. And he's not even like not spending. He's going to get in, and he's probably going to spend a lot of money too. I hope he doesn't. But at the end of the day, it's like, this is just the truth. But how are we going to fix a country when no one's even honest about it? People hate each other so much, or they like certain people, or they pick a side, that they can't even be honest about the fact that this really started under the president that a lot of us voted for. So the point that I'm getting to is like, based on how much they spent then, based on how much they spent, especially in 2020 and 2021, and even now they're spending too much. Like this country is just getting crappier and crappier and crappier. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons for it. I could go down a list, but that's a huge one. Is like the money's not going as far. We're getting absolutely bamboozled. And I hope it goes away, but I don't know that it is going to go away, because it requires a lot of stuff. And it also requires like healing. It's like, if something happens in your body and you need 2 years to recover, a year to recover, there's no like magic time machine where it's like, oh, I could heal my ankle in, a month. It's like, no, it might take a year to fully heal, or it might never be the same, or it might be 99%, but it's not going to happen in a month. It's not possible. It's kind of like the economy. Like, I don't know how long it's going to last, but the damage that was done from 2020 until now is so severe that I would be shocked if it didn't last an entire decade. And that's the reason that everything is like degrading. It's also demoralization. This is part of the demoralization, destroying the economy. But, it takes a lot of things to revert it. And I just notice it. And as optimistic as I am, and, I enjoy my life and I make the most of it, it just seems like everybody's cutting corners. Nobody wants to pay for anything. Anything that was cool 4 years ago, people are trying to take away. They're charging more. Nice areas are not so nice, and places that were okay a couple years ago are trash. And it's like, this is what happens when our money doesn't go that far, and everybody has to like scrape and reroute and, buy shittier material or hire 50% less people. And it's like, this is just going to keep happening for a minute. The solution, I mean, I think is we definitely need moralization, not demoralization, in the sense of like, we need people to take pride in not even just the country, but themselves, like their community, like people again, want to do great stuff. And I think mediocrity is, I don't even know if I'd say it's rewarded, but at the end of the day, no matter what your job is, you should want to be a good person and do it great. And when a majority of people in the country don't care, this is also part of it. Politically, like, these people are just robbing us blind. And in order for it to get changed, you have to diagnose it properly, in my view. And the truth is, Ron Paul was a great congressman. We'd be better off if there were 200 people like him. Thomas Massie is the closest thing to Ron Paul. That's really all. There aren't even 20 people like that. So if you're just saying, well, Trump's going to do this and that, to me, that's just wasting time. And in 5 years, we're going to be right back where we were now. I'm not saying to not vote for him. I'm not saying to not, put him in office. But once that happens, like, you really got to focus, because these politicians will keep doing what they did in 2020 for the rest of our lives if we never figure it out. And, it's like a slow drip of what they're doing. And it's so complicated that I think a lot of people are not able to target it. And that's why they're able to do it. They go left, they go right, they go black, they go white. They have the new thing, this and that. Okay, now it's the Ukraine and Russia, and the left likes Ukraine and the right is skeptical of the war. And now it's the Israel-Palestine, and the right likes the war, but the left is skeptical of it. And now they're going to fight, and they're never going to realize that they're both right and wrong. And they're not. It's like, and they got all these little tricks, and it's like, we need to stop printing so much money. We need to rebalance the economy. We need people that actually care. And I think even with the media I was talking about yesterday, I'm not saying this is the real number, but let's just say 99% of media sucks. If you identify that and stop supporting and demand better, eventually they have to do better. It's like a store. If you buy the healthier ingredients, they're going to buy more of those. It's like they'll pick up the stock that is selling. With that being said, and certain things have gotten more healthy over the last couple of years. There's more options, but there's also a lot of weirdo GMO ingredients and stuff. But anyway, it's like once that happens, there's incentive to switch it. But for now, if everyone can just blame everyone all the time and throw people in different directions, then everyone can just make money off you as you're like running in circles. Like it's never going to change until people focus and really get to the core of stuff. So, that's what I'm hoping happens. And I think it starts with us, like whether it's media, whether it's politics, whether it's banking or military industrial complex or anything, left wing, right wing, it starts with people wanting better. Once people want better, once people are better, once people demand better, they have to do it. And I'm just noticing a trend that I'm not saying there's no reason to ever disagree with the left or whatever, or have racial conversations. I'm not asking people to ignore everything completely. Do what you think is right. I mean, just don't be a weirdo about it. But anyway, with that being said, it's never going to change as long as people just pick a team and don't do the self-building and aren't honest. Like if the Republican Party is like, oh, Biden caused inflation, it's never going away. Trump also caused inflation. There's no way that this wasn't going to happen, even if Trump and Republicans won. There's no way. They printed too much money. They shut down commerce for too long. And once you do that, you're screwed. Like they really screwed us. And what people don't realize is like there's even people to this day, I'm not saying today, but they'll be like, but they had to do the PPP loans. They had to print the money to save your business. It's communism. Why did they have to save your business? Because they closed your business because the government told it to close. So then they got to print money and give it to you. That's communism. It's not, it's like, yeah, they had to because they took something away. But the thing is, then we're screwed. And there's so many, like, I'll be honest, I didn't get a PPP loan. I didn't even apply to it. I'm not that type of person and I didn't need it. But in general, it's like if you didn't get a PPP loan, you got screwed. If you didn't get the checks that everybody else got, you got screwed. Even if you did get the checks, you still got screwed for more money than you got. Like there's certain companies that get hundreds of millions of dollars. There's certain companies that made a cash cow on it. There's certain companies that sold pharmaceuticals and medical masks, and a lot of them were purchased by the government. It's like we all got effed extraordinarily through that time. And it's like with me, I did decent for myself and I stayed afloat and I, did well. But it's like in general now, all of that, like everything's going up, and nobody wants to pay it anymore. And everybody's just trying to cut corners and cut costs. So it's like, the truth is, the reason I'm talking about this still, we were screwed by Trump. We were screwed by Republicans and Democrats and Biden. But to say we were screwed by everyone but Trump is not only false history, but it's almost making the solution impossible. It's almost making the rebirth of America or the resurrection of America or the renaissance of America, it's almost making it impossible. Because it's like, it's just like we got to call that out. Vote for them, support them, whatever. But like, stop. If you just act like a fan, they're just going to keep playing this game forever. And it's really frustrating because it's like, do I really care what people think anymore in that sense? Not really, but it affects me. Like, this reminds me, I'm going to end on this note. It reminds me that I remember having this conversation in May of 2020. I was talking to someone and I was freaking out. I was like, this is so bad. This is so bad that everybody's shutting down. This is so bad that they're stopping commerce. This is so bad that they're stopping travel. This is so bad that they're stopping the economy. This is so bad that they're printing all this money and signing the CARES Act. Like, this is so bad. We're going to pay. I was like, I'm not going to say I was in tears because I'm no softy, but I'm like really like bothered. I'm like, we're screwed. Like this, like we got it. I remember I tried to have a debate with a Nuance bro and say, we need to open up 100% today. And he was like, 50% masks, 50%. And I'm like, bro, everything needs to open full capacity now. We're already 2 months behind. Like, we're already screwed. It's got to open. And they wallowed, and the states did this and that, and it wallowed for like 2 years. And it's like, we would be lucky to have a good economy in 2032 at this point. And it's not because of just Joe Biden. It's because of Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, and all of those people. And Trump's no different. You know, it's like, well, he had to this and that. Like, now they're getting you to justify destroying the economy. If I have to print $1 billion bajillion dollars, it doesn't matter why I had to do it. You're going to be broke for the next 20 years. And if you were rich, you're now going to be middle class. And if you're middle class, you're going to be poor. And if you're poor, you're going to be probably dependent on government, which is where they want you. So it's like, this is, it doesn't matter why it happened. And if you believe like, well, there's a reason, they're always going to have a reason. They know exactly how to be like, we want to do this, but nobody's going to support it. Oh, look, a reason. Oh, well, now we can do it. Now we can start that war. Now we can invade that country. Now we can do this. Now we can do that. They're masters at like, how do we get it done? Let's get it done. And oftentimes, if you research enough, it's like they've had plans for certain things for 10, 20, 30 years, 5 years. I'm not saying COVID necessarily, but it's like, if they want this outcome, you know, and there's people that made an absolute fortune. And, you know, I'm no banker, but it's like, you know, now that the interest rates are 7%, 6%, it's like, who gets that? That's the banks. You know what I'm saying? They're making a fortune. And I'm sure they're hurting in some ways, but it's like, you know, it's just like such a scam. And this is why it's so important for people to care and notice, because there is no, if you're not even, and I don't want to use smart because it sounds condescending, but if you're not even smart enough to realize that you can't close your country down for 3 months, you can't complain about inflation, because that's why it came, you know, and that's like 99% of the country. It's like 80% of the country. Like, most people weren't thinking about that. They're like, oh, I got a break, or this sucks, but it's whatever. It's like the economics says that we're screwed for like a long, long time. And they're not like remedying the problem. They just keep printing money, because now they just know we're so racially divided, socially divided, politically divided, that they're like, open up the floodgates, 100 billion to Ukraine, 40 billion to Israel, 500 million to this country, 50 to this, 30 to this, 20 to, like, they're just like print, giving people, and they're just going nuts. They're like crackheads, just like throwing money everywhere. And like, everyone's like, oh, but I support them because of this, and I support this war because of this. And it's like, you're just a useful idiot. Doesn't matter if you have a MAGA hat or a pussy hat, or you have a pharmaceutical mask in an encampment at Columbia. It's like, you know, you're not right about everything, and not everyone's wrong about everything. I'm just saying, it's like, they don't care that people are fighting over this and that. Like, the right's like, I don't like those kids. Okay, they're protesting foreign aid. But we need the aid to go to that country. Yeah, why? Like, and I'm not a peaceful protest, but people should be protesting aid to Ukraine then. It's like, how come right wingers don't even protest aid to Ukraine? They hate it, but they don't protest it. And then when left wingers protest aid to Israel, now right wingers are mad. We got to give that aid. Get back to school. Why? So they can learn, you know, it's a liberal arts degree. Like, you want them to go back to Columbia? Why? They got to go to class. What are they teaching in those classes? They're turning out to be some weirdos anyway, but it's just like, I just feel like it's never going to change until people wake up. And because people are so divided and confused on both sides, and they're constantly fighting over things that don't matter and getting duped by fake media that's tricking them and controlled opping them, it's like the people that are like running the country. It reminds me of like Jim Brewer when he goes, you know, like Jim has a really, he's like a master of an impression. He's like, he always acts like that crazy Jim Brewer. It reminds me of that. They're just printing money, sending it to everybody. Like, who cares? The left's fighting, the right's fighting. They can't figure out anything. They can't agree on anything. Ukraine, Israel, blah, blah, blah. And it's like print. And then everyone's like, why is my country getting crappier? Maybe Donald Trump will fix it. It's like, he won't fix it. Maybe Biden will fix it. How is he going to fix it? RFK, he's just another clown. I mean, I used to like RFK, but I feel like, you know, just certain things that I've seen that I'm doing, I'm like, what's the point of you even running, bro? You're not even like doing that much, but whatever. I just want to talk about the economy, because I'm very optimistic and grateful, but it's just been odd watching everything like slowly wear down. And it's like, how long is this going to happen? Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I have a God is Great sweatshirts. A couple of them sold yesterday. Almost all my stuff except for my black beanies are sold out on dreamrare.com. So thank you to everybody getting those. It's good stuff. And I always get the most compliments on my God is Great hoodie. It's true. And yeah, check that stuff out. And I'm out. I'm trying to keep this under an hour. That sounds smart. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support everything